Welcome to another episode of Evolving the World of Work. And today we have a very special guest with us, someone I've had the privilege of knowing for over 12 months now, an amazing person who is going to share with us a lot about video. And it's interesting to think how video and media will actually tie into evolving the world of work. So I'm very excited to introduce Kirsty Nancarrow, who's actually an award-winning journalist and business owner. Kirsty has been in the media industry for more than 30 years. It doesn't look like it, but she has been for 30 years, including 15 years with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. And her career has taken her from Sydney to Alice Springs to Darwin to London, Cairns in the far north Queensland, where she's now the co-director of Emotion Video Training and Production with her partner, Susie. As a media and video trainer, Kirsty empowers people, regardless of where they live, to share their stories through media and video storytelling. Kirsty recently launched her first book, Himalayan Dreams, the story of Som Tamang. And here it is here. I was actually blessed to have been given a copy, an autographed, a signed copy by Kirsty herself. And it's a story about a child slave from Nepal who has saved a generation in his village from human trafficking and child marriage by providing access to accommodation and education. So please join me in welcoming the accomplished Kirsty Nancarrow to the podcast, author of Himalayan Dreams. And let's just quickly touch on this, Kirsty. So firstly, welcome.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Where can people get this book, this amazing story? Where can they grab this? Let's just get that out of the way early.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah.
So you can jump on my website, kirstynancarrow.com.
Yep.
And there's various options on there. So you can, I can post it to you anywhere in Australia. If you happen to live in Cairns, you can pick it up from me. And there's also options for ebook and ordering through Amazon anywhere in the world. If you are elsewhere in the world, you can also order through well-known online bookstores like Walmart and Brown's Books in the UK. There's a few options as well. So, but definitely visit kirstynancarrow.com as a first port of call, so you can find out all about the book and then choose which way you would like to obtain it. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you. It's and I'm looking for one day this will become a movie. I guarantee it. It is a compelling story, and it deserves to be on the big screen as well. So if you haven't already, please go to kirstynancarrow.com and grab your copy of Himalayan Dreams. And you'll be just like, I've already started reading a few bits of it. I'm just like captivating from the start. So I'm looking forward to get through the whole thing. I might enjoy the break coming up and actually just finish that book off. So congratulations on that accomplishment too, because I know it has been a big project that you've been working on. But let's now get into video and media training and what the heck this has to do with the evolving world of work. I'm really fascinated this because this is a different angle on this, but I think it's going to become critical, which I know you're going to share with us, for organizations to understand and embrace moving forward as the future of work, the future of teamwork, the future of leadership, and all that starts to roll out. That video and media is going to become critically important. So I'm looking forward to finding out from you how it's going to break down these barriers in many ways with the rise of smartphone technologies and whatever else might be coming out, and AI and all the rest. So can you just share a bit about your journey before we get into that, and what led you to focus on video and media training within the context of evolving the world of work?
Yeah, so I started my career as a young tacker in Sydney, where I grew up, on my local newspaper. And even at that young age, as an 18-year-old, there was a visual element to my job. I happened to be the only person that had a car, and that also made me the newspaper photographer. So I guess I've always had a visual element to my role as a journalist, which I have always loved, because I think it's really visual mediums are a very powerful way to tell stories, not just the written word. As you mentioned, I had a 15-year career with the ABC, and that even over the time that I was with the ABC, when I joined in 1999 as a young reporter in Alice Springs, the roles were quite siloed at that point. I was a radio news reporter. We'd go out and record interviews and edit them up and put them to air in the news bulletins, carrying the plastic cart stacks that don't exist anymore with the tape inside them to the newsroom and hoping you didn't fall over and spill them and put them out of order before putting them in when you're reading the bulletin. And of course, the technology evolved so quickly after that, and the world of work of a journalist. So first of all, they added online, so we had to repurpose our stories for online, and of course you need a photograph for those stories as well, so photography came back into the fold. Then after that, they wanted us to be bi-media journalists, so we had to learn how to be television journalists, which is a different way of writing as well, and of course you need pictures to tell television stories, so it then meant convincing people to go on camera, which is a little bit harder than doing an interview over the phone for radio. And then once I moved to far north Queensland with the ABC, a few years after that, they decided for the bureaus that didn't have permanent camera operators in them, and Cairns was one of them, that journalists should actually learn how to be videographers as well. And this was originally just intended as a backup in case, you know, there was a visiting politician or something that happened that they couldn't organize a camera for. But pretty soon after giving us the 3 days training and a camera, the expectation was that we would film our entire stories and do live crosses into bulletins and whatnot. So even within the world of the media and journalism, the world of work evolved so much. And then by the end of my career there was an expectation that we would be feeding social media platforms all of the time as well. So for example, sitting in a courtroom and having live tweets of court cases, big court cases as they rolled out. So if you think about the evolution from radio news reporter to fully formed, multi-dimensional journalist at the end of my time there. So radio, TV, online, social media, and actually filming stories. And now journalists are actually editing their own stories as well.
Wow.
So I had all the skills really to take this into another dimension. And I initially had this beautiful job after the ABC with Queensland Health, where I was tasked with unearthing good stories within the organisation and telling them with video, because it's such a powerful tool to connect with people. And I started thinking, I'd started my media training business by then because I wanted to create a better relationship between media and the average organisation / person. There's it's kind of like a mystery thing that I wanted to lift the lid on, how journalists work, how you can get the most out of your relationship. There's a lot of fear around dealing with the media. And I know that there's a lot of great stories to tell for organisations, and the media can be a very powerful vehicle to get them out there. So started the media training business, but I had always loved the visual element of my job. And these little gadgets here that we're all carrying around in our pocket are making it easier than ever to create content. And it's I've always loved training people and mentoring people. I've done that throughout my journalism career. And I met the lovely Susie Cray at the ABC. She was the open producer who was teaching community members video storytelling skills. And once we'd both left the organisation and had a few years to sort of mull over things, we went, actually, between us, we have the entire process covered in terms of training people. And we've always wanted to share our skills, not necessarily profit from them as videographers. We do that as well as a business. However, but our place of comfort and our place of happiness is actually empowering people to tell stories themselves, which of course breaks down barriers of borders and whatnot. And because we mostly all have access to one of these, the skill's really in your hands. So that's really how we evolved into creating a business called Emotion Video Training and Production, where we deliver workshops, essentially giving you the skills to be able to do this for yourself. So a kind of distilling of our 30 years of experience in the media industry in a day that teaches you how to plan for stories, what kind of content works, where to put it, thinking about your audience, and then the craft skills of filming and editing and publishing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think, and I've got some thoughts running in my head of how important that is for organizations today, which we'll tap into in just a moment. But what drives your passion for video and media training in today's workplace then? So understanding how you got to there, what drives your passion for this, like today and into tomorrow?
I think because we live in a place that is, it's a global community, right? It's there's still physical borders there, but not really. With the digital age, we can communicate with anyone anywhere in the world at any time. And the way we're able to do that is generally through videos, through chats like we're having now on the opposite ends of the country, through posting content on our social media or on our website. It is really the communication tool that we're all using. And if we're not using, we really need to be using. Similarly, in the media, it's a 24-hour news cycle. So gone are the days where you're on a newspaper and you're filing a couple of stories or a few stories a day, and your deadline's at the end of the day, and the newspaper comes out the next day. It's now like people, the audience is demanding that content as soon as it can be available. That's why we see media conferences broadcast in real time, and it's very much changed the way we work. And in a work context, it's essential that you have this in your wheelhouse, because we're all visual people, and we've all got a lot of demands on our time, and our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And a video is a really effective way of just getting in front of people quickly with a message that's authentic. It's you, and this is, of course, if you're presenting to camera yourself. But it is, it's basically what everybody is using now to communicate.
Yeah, I think, and that's probably going to become more, not less. And whatever format video takes, whether it becomes holograms or, whatever it might be, there'll be some visual aspect that will continue to evolve. So let's talk about some insights and perspectives that you might have in evolving the world of work. So in your view, Kirsty, what do you see as the most significant changes shaping the work or the future of work today?
Definitely the lessons that we got from COVID about remote work. I think it's now more possible than ever for people. We have proved that we can do this. Yeah. Some people may have struggled a little bit more than others with the idea of not coming to a workplace and having that traditional 9-to-5 day. But I think I see we are getting closer and closer to becoming evolved in the way that we work. It doesn't really, certain industries obviously have to be dictated by certain time frames, but I see that there's a lot more flexibility going forward, and a lot more tapping into having that coverage of more of the day with your workforce. So rather than trying to shove everyone into a time frame of office hours, wouldn't it be great if we continued with the trend of allowing people flexible working hours so that they can work when they're most effective? I can reflect on this in our own business. There's just the two of us, and I'm very much a morning person, and Susie is very much a night owl. And it might be that we're at our best at different times of the day, or even on a weekend. So we might be feeling a bit flat on a Friday afternoon, but we know that we'll back it up on a Sunday and go, all right, I've got some energy, I've had a bit of a recharge, and I'm just going to smash out a couple of hours of work, because this is when I'm most effective. And I think this is really the way that workplaces are going to move if they want to be keeping staff happy and making the most of the human resources they have. Because we don't necessarily work on a 9-to-5 time frame. We've kind of trained ourselves, if we've been in the workforce for a long time, to do those kind of shifts. And myself, I have worked everything from a 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. shift to a like a 2 to 10 shift. But we can always make adjustments. But I think what I learned actually through writing the book is that sometimes you can't dictate when you're going to be able to do the job. Sometimes if you have the flexibility, then your best work happens at odd times. So the more we can tune into that and give that flexibility and trust to our employees or our colleagues, I think the more work we're going to get done.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point. And we, they talk about flexible work and things like that. As an entrepreneur, you work whatever hours you need to. And to your point, I'm much the same. There's certain things that certain times of day where I'm at my best for certain things. And so I seek to put those things in that space as much as possible. But when you think of the concept of flexible work, it's really a combination of where work happens and when work happens. And, then there's who does the work and what work needs to be done. You can factor in all the next layers to it. But the core principles of where and when work happens, if we have an organization where somebody would rather get up at 5 a.m. and work through till 9, take their kids to school, all right, whatever it is, then spend a couple hours, go to the gym, do whatever, then, do a couple hours worth of work and then do some more in the nights or evenings. As long as it's not compromising their lifestyle, it actually even provides them a better lifestyle. Why would we care? Now, there's a caveat to that. If your job is a barista and you need to be somewhere to pump coffee, unless you set up a little coffee van in your driveway in the mornings and people drive by and you can make their coffees for them, which could be a good idea. Imagine if we had neighborhood baristas who just rolled out their coffee van in the morning, made coffees for all the people in the neighborhood as they drove by, and then, wheeled the thing back in and enjoyed their day. If you're listening, that's a great idea. Take it, it's yours, it's free.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of suburban coffee vans in Cairns that do just that.
Yeah.
They pop up on people's way to work. They're just there in a vacant lot, and people know to find them there, and they have their regular customers. And like you got to take the business to where the customers are.
Yeah. Like this sense of flexibility. So that's really like flexible. Imagine like Uber coffee vans. They're just like, they just, hey, someone's ordering some coffees. I think I'll take that order. I'll go make them some coffees, whatever it is, whatever that looks like. But the concept being, unless there's a specific role where you must be involved in the work at that time in that particular part of the day. But also flexible work doesn't mean either from home or from office. It could be, a couple hours in the home, couple hours in the office, could be part there, could be in a cafe, could be wherever, could be working out of your client's offices. It could be whatever, but we just got to get rid of these rigid 9 to 5 in the office rules that are there. And, I want to ask, actually, I'll lead into this question and hopefully that might explore the answer here. But from an innovation point of view, then, how do you foster innovation and creativity within a team, especially in remote or hybrid working environments? And then how can video, maybe, I don't know where the media would play in it, but definitely video, how will that play into that?
I think just having a conversation or an exploration around the skills and interests of your team is one thing. What we find when we're delivering our group video courses to teams is that you generally have somebody who really actually wants to be on camera while the rest of the team don't. You'll have somebody that's naturally good at coming up with the ideas for content, and you have somebody who loves editing and that sort of meticulous movement of clips to create a story. And then you'll have people who are good at filming and have a good eye, and they may not have known anything about these skills beforehand, but the fact that their organization has invested in getting the whole team trained, not just the marketing person, it actually gives that that investment in the staff that they haven't had. And like, some people come into the training going, I don't know why I'm here, like it's got nothing to do with my job. But then you start talking about how video works and how it can actually promote the organization, but also how it can foster collaboration within the organization. Then they start going, right. And you see it happen. And we had a course last week, and it's beautiful to watch happen, because you start to convert the skeptics and they go, actually, I feel like I didn't know before, but I've actually discovered that I've got an aptitude for these skills.
Yeah.
And then they start contributing that and collaborating, and that collaborating is really good for team culture. And then, of course, the content that's then coming out from the organization is not just one person's version of what it should be. It's a joint exercise. So it's about.
Go ahead.
It's about fostering that flexibility within the skills of the team, actually, and giving people an opportunity that they may not have even thought about yet, and trying to flip the narrative that might be going on about, oh, this is just one extra thing I have to do, and go, actually, this is going to save you time, because you're going to recruit participants to your program, or we're going to all come together, and then we can exchange not just ideas about videos, but it actually provides a place to discuss other things about the organization, and just building that team culture within an organization.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And one of the things, a couple of thoughts came to my mind as you were going through this, is when, like, there's a couple of really great opportunities in the current workplace, or even evolving into the future of work, where video will become critically important, or can become extremely valuable, if you wish. And there's other places where it can become a detriment. A lot of the challenges when we're speaking with leaders right now, it's like, people working from home. How do I know my people are working? Can I put some spyware onto their computer to make sure they're clicking on their keys? Or, can I put a little video and make sure that they're at their desk and all this sort of stuff? And like, if you're going to use it for that purpose, my simple question I ask back to those people is, are you doing that in the workplace? And they go, well, no. I said, then why would you do it when they're at home? Right? You don't know the answer to those questions either. The fact that they're present and that you can see them is the only thing that you know, whether they're working on. If you don't have a system in place that actually measures the outcomes and outputs of that individual, and you're just too busy worrying about whether they're doing tasks or not, well, then that's a failure in the system. And it doesn't matter if it's at work or at home or in a cafe or anywhere. So do not use video for that. Right?
It's a bit short-sighted, really. And, surely we've employed people that we trust can do the job. And
if we've employed the right people, we should, and we've trained them properly, then yes. And we've set up the system in place, yes. But it's usually a failure on our part as leaders or business owners that we haven't done that, and then we panic when they're working from home or out of sight, then we don't know what they're doing. But most organizations have reported higher levels of productivity from people working from home or in a hybrid arrangement, whatever that might be. The other thing I think is important.
Yeah, and so what if they get the work done in 6 hours instead of 8 hours, as long as the work gets done, right?
Right. If they find a way to do it in 4 hours, what do? Well, we give them 4 hours more worth of work. We were already paying them whatever to be able to achieve those results. And if they found a better way, or they can be more productive, less interruptions, all that, and achieve that, and have a better life as well while they're doing it, and still be paid fairly for what the work they're doing. Who cares if you do it in 4, 6, 8, or if I want to do 2, 2, 2, 2, whatever, instead of 8 in a row, and it's whatever way. Why do we care so much about where or when the work is being done, as long as it doesn't compromise the frameworks of the organization, doesn't step outside the ethical boundaries of the organization, doesn't compromise our client services or anything that we provide? And what is the big problem with that, right? So as long as our people are safe in the workplace, at home, and all those sorts of things, it's really important. But one of the things I think is missing right now, and I'd love to get your take on this, from a video point of view, we're all talking about video, how to get your brand out there and do that. One of the things I find that most organizations do poorly, they do an extremely great job of starting to tell their story to the world, but they never do a job of internal brand storytelling. So they don't do getting the people in the organization to tell stories. And this is how cultures are formed, right? By all the norms and all the storytelling, even the elders of the past, and they're telling us all these stories, the rich tapestry and history of this organization. But we don't have those recorded. Now with video today, we could be doing internal storytelling and, these wonderful client experiences that happen. Oh, we just served this client. And imagine if we recorded something like that on video, Kirsty, and then we could share that with the team, and we did a lot more internal brand storytelling.
That's right. And like testimonials are really, really powerful, because it's not you giving your message, it's your, a third party who's actually giving some endorsement. And I think the Wiseowl survey of the state of video marketing that came out a couple of months ago said that 39% of marketers are now using video testimonials, and it's like the biggest form of video, if you like, because it is so powerful. We personally use them a lot in our business, because we'd rather have our clients talking about their experience than us saying how great we are, because as a customer or a client, you're going to see through that. And it's like, that's a piece of marketing. I always say in my media training as well, like, what are you going to put more weight on? An article that's been written by a journalist with a few points of view and facts and figures and research, or a full page ad about the same thing sitting next to it, knowing that one has been paid for and one has at least had a little bit of a critical eye over it. So the same thing applies to video. If you're, I'm not saying don't go and present your message, please do, but when you've got third parties, when your staff talking about the value of working there, or your clients talking about the impact that you've made, that's so much more powerful.
Yeah, but I'm
So
talking
yeah,
about like inside the organization
yeah,
to each
inside,
other.
yeah,
Yeah,
inside the
to each other,
organization.
not even telling other external stories like us, talking about
Yeah.
our own situations, our own roles, our own things that are happening, and like that. Like, what can we do there?
I think most organizations have an intranet or are sending
Yeah,
out an internal newsletter most weeks or at least once a month. So they don't have to be written anymore. They can be visual
yeah,
and so much more engaging. So I mean, it's just a matter of putting one of your staff on camera and doing a little interview if they're not happy presenting themselves. Or it could be invite one of your team members to give a little bit of a behind the scenes for their day. Even if they don't want to be on camera, then they can still tell a story of what it is they do in the organization and what happens in a day. And it might even be just one moment.
yeah.
Again, back to the course that we delivered last week, one of the participants actually decided to just do a little video overnight of her start to the day, and it was so engaging, and
Mm,
we got to know her so much better. Like it didn't have anything to do with her work, but in terms of building team culture and getting on board with the idea that video could be fun, this
yeah,
person managed to create a little video of her day, and from waking up to feeding her dog in the morning to trying to motivate her kids to go to school. And then it was so funny and engaging, and
yeah,
we just got to know that person so much better than we did just through that medium of video. And it didn't
yeah.
it didn't have to be her
Oh,
talking
that.
on camera. She's just giving us an insight into her day. So behind the scenes videos can be really, really powerful and engaging inside an organization.
Yeah, and
And
if
yeah,
you
we don't have a lot of time, and it's another thing, but it's quite fun and creative, and it kind of shifts your brain into another space as well. So if you've got a job that's quite technical, or that's basically anything other than video production, then having a little brain break and getting some creativity flowing via this medium can be just really good for your own productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you imagine being able to look at an organization that you want to join, for example? I want to be part of this organization. And then you get access to all these team profiles and you can see all the people you're going to be working with. And it's just a day in the life of Dave or a day in the life of Kirsty and what it looks like. And something is we get to know all about these people, and you can accelerate the learning curve and the relationship building by having this deeper insight in advance. That video can give us like a window to people's soul, that we can see into, right? And that's what insight is, to be able to see into. So I get some insight into this organization that I'm going to become a part of, and
That's right.
like building culture, it's be so powerful. So
And it doesn't have to be polished either. I
no,
mean,
no,
we've let go of that. I mean, this has been hard for us to do as video producers and professionals in the media industry. We were when we started doing our courses, there was no way we were going to teach people to shoot videos this way,
no,
because, we've got two eyes next to each other. This is television, this is
yeah,
YouTube. This is the way we watch video, but we've had to evolve what we teach, because so many of us are consuming the content that we're consuming, the video content that we're consuming on a phone.
yeah,
So yeah, it's about, it doesn't have to be super polished or professional or have captions or any of those things that we are expecting from professional videos. If it's that kind of team building, culture building exercise, then it's fine just to get your staff member to wander around and film and you
yeah,
speak to camera.
yeah. So we also use the word team. We don't use the S word in the evolving world of work. I know Jordan will be watching this and she go, you know how many times Kirsty said the S word? And I'm like, yes.
You need to have a big buzzer.
Yeah. Well, we're actually looking at getting one. I actually go team every time you hit it. But anyway, yeah. So like it's really important, and I think like that is there's some really critical points in there for leaders and and anyone in organizations about evolving the world of work, and the importance of bringing video into these organizations more so than just from an outwardly facing thing, which is I guess this whole part of the dialogue I wanted to make sure we dived into, that there's so much we can be doing internally that we're not even thinking about right now, which can improve culture, the way people work together, the way people relate, getting to know each other, especially in a remote working space. How do we get to know each other? And the importance of the fact that it doesn't have to be some big polished production video. things. It's what many years ago, I used to call it the YouTube effect. What YouTube did is allowed people to make their own commercials and do whatever. And we as consumers accepted the fact that they were not published. Actually, if they were very polished and that, we didn't believe them on YouTube if they were too polished. The raw, natural, authentic, real videos are what we were all diving into. And now, of course, with the quality of phones and microphones and the cost to be able to do it, I mean, the cost of my studio here, I've done some rough estimations. It probably would have cost me $900,000 about 15 to 20 years ago to build this here for what I could build for probably about 5 or 10 grand now. And then the ability to live stream, like how much would live streaming have cost us, way back in the day, and then having all the production equipment. And now you can just live stream straight off your phone. So, you have this very powerful thing, but it doesn't have to be totally polished, but you should be utilizing it more in your business. Within your teams and letting them, because there's also a big fear for people in organizations about letting anyone film anything in the business. So having social media policies or video recording or whatever, Privacy Act, all that sort of stuff has to be taken into consideration when thinking about this. So I appreciate there's some, it's easy to say, hey, go nuts and let your people go nuts. But, you almost have to have parameters or frameworks in which that can operate in. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't allow it to happen. And you shouldn't be leveraging this as a powerful tool, both internally and externally. So I think that's really critical. Kirsty, how do you envision the workplace of the future, say 10 years from now? Considering, video, media and all that, what do you see? What do you think that workplace is going to look like?
Yeah, I think we're going to see more remote work, more flexible work, more reliance on video for bringing people together in a traditional team meeting scenario.
Yep.
I think we all got a bit tired of it after COVID, to be honest. I know I had Zoom fatigue, and I know many others couldn't wait to just get back to being in the same room as human beings. So I think that will always be part of the workplace, but I think, it's just going to move more and more towards this flexible type working arrangement where we are covering more of the day as we become more global as well, having people working across the day and the evening when they're most effective, knowing that there's all these communication tools to interact with each other via a video platform. I see, more of the same. I would love to see that through the technology that we have and the rise of AI, that we are actually working less. I think the more that we go on, it's no longer a badge of honor even today to say you're busy, right? It's a bad word.
Yep.
And I think in 10 years' time we may see more of a life-work balance rather than a work-life balance. I think it's going to be more of a priority for people, and we're going to be around for longer. We're living longer. We're going to be spending more of our life at work. So I think people are going to be expecting a bit more balance in how that looks. So it might be that we spend longer in the workforce, but we are actually having more of a life while we do that. So more leisure time, more flexibility, and ultimately more productivity because of the tools that we've got that help us with the tasks that we have, whether it's customer relations management systems or having a communication tool that does phone, email, video conferencing, and the million other things that this already does and probably will do into the future.
Yeah, I think that's I love the life-work balance. It's funny because if you look at like all the, the internet, email, all this sort of stuff that's provided to us to make our lives simpler and it's actually just allowed us to work more, not less.
Yes.
And I think AI might be a little bit different to that because it's a tool where it actually can do some of the work for us rather than just making it easier for us to do the work. And I think, freeing us humans up to do the work that we must do. And I think that's a really important, differentiation there in between that, because I did some post about it a little while ago saying like, hey, all this stuff has been great, but it's only made us work longer and harder now. It hasn't actually taken the work away from us. It's just freed us up to do more work, not actually free us up from work.
And
And
that's the shift that I hope happens in the next
yeah,
10 years, that we go, okay, well, now we need to make an adjustment and go, we don't actually need to work that hard. We don't need to feel that, we don't have to fill up those hours that we're freed up now. We can do
yeah,
that. We can do other stuff that fulfills us.
yeah. And if we can make our businesses work smarter, then we don't have to work harder in them. So this work smarter, not harder, is not for us. It's how do we make our businesses work smarter so we don't have to work harder. And I love that, and I think that's just a huge opportunity. So give us one practical tip that the listeners here who want to begin evolving the world of work, the environment in which they operate in today, through the lens of your area of expertise. What's one practical tip that you can offer them that they can take away from listening today?
If you haven't used video in your business, start doing it.
Yeah,
And if you're worried about, if you're a leader and you're worried about being on camera, people want to see you. Your colleagues want to see you. Your clients want to see you. You are what stands out in the whatever business you're in. So if you have a fear about that, then I would encourage you to do the 30-day selfie challenge. And it sounds
I can do the 30 selfies in a day challenge. That's easy.
well, you're a high achiever with regard to video, Dave, but for us mere mortals who are finding it hard to find the time in the day, now this is straight out of Susie Cray's tips book. She really struggled. My business partner, Susie, she has been a career camera woman and editor. So she's used to being behind the lens and in the edit suite and far away from the public view. So she was terrified at the beginning about being the face of the business. And even though I'd spent my career being in front of the camera, I didn't like it so much either. But for her, it was a real fear. And I know it is for many people. So what she did was she said, I'm going to force myself for 30 days to pick up my phone, open up the camera and hit record and just talk to my camera for 30 days in a row, just first thing in the morning, and just chat for it, not necessarily even looking at the camera, but just wandering around, doing whatever you do,
Right.
Sharing whatever's on your mind. And just that process of getting used to doing that, it really helped her get over the fear of being in front of people. And look, to be honest, we're in front of people right now.
Yeah.
We've been doing this video conferencing thing a lot for the last few years. So it's no different. We are just, and it's private, you can delete it. No one ever has to see it. But the exercise of just kind of training yourself to be open to doing that and sharing that, things might come out that you didn't expect. And it might be that just that aha moment that you need to go, oh, maybe I can use this as a bit more of a communication tool with my team. Or maybe we can share some more stories, and it doesn't have to be scripted and it doesn't have to be polished. It just has to be you, and it has to be authentic. So I think we just put a lot of barriers in the way. And the great thing about this is that because we all have one, we at any time when something's happening or a brilliant idea pops into our head, we can just share it. We can do it. Or if you don't want to share it now, you can record it and have it there for later and go, oh, I think, in my meeting in 3 weeks' time, the topic's going to be X, and I've just had a great thought about that. So that's going to be perfect for that newsletter or whatever the application might be. So, I guess don't be afraid to try.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing. And I think what you just said there was really cool. The end is that video it, and if you can actually just delete it, right? It's not like, remember the days when we would go through all the film and we wasted thousands of dollars of film on the cutting room floors of Hollywood or whatever it might be. Now it's just delete it. It's gone. Don't worry about it. Do it again.
Or bank it for later. You don't even have to use it now. You can just kind of put it away and save it for a rainy day. You may never use it, but there might be a chance down the track where you think, oh, that would be perfect for this. Yeah,
absolutely. So one last question, Kirsty. In our belief at Circle Leadership is about being human first, employee second, or human first, client second. So even though this is at the very end, we would like to get to know more about you as the human, as who Kirsty Nancarrow is. And in order to do that, we've created a list of 1 to 31 questions, 31 being my favorite number. That's not the reason why there's 31. And you just have to pick a number from 1 to 31. And all I ask is that you must answer the question. And it'll be insightful, something personal, a bit fun. There's nothing too revealing. So but yeah, so you just have to pick a number, but you have to answer the question.
In my media training, I'm always getting people to think about, you can prepare for all the questions you think will come, but I said there's generally one question where you think, I hope they don't ask me. I hope they don't ask me.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling quite nervous.
This is the question.
I'm feeling quite nervous about this, but I'm just going to jump in and say 5.
Question number 5. Oh, okay. Yes, this is great. Okay. So, Kirsty, do you have a secret skill? It's time to spill the beans on your secret skill.
Okay. Well, this is easier than I thought.
Yeah, this one will be. I know what your secret skill is.
Yeah. I'm actually a salsa dance teacher as well.
Yes.
So, and yeah, I've always loved to dance, and funnily enough, when I was in Alice Springs, it's where this became possible. I came back from a couple of years living in the UK and had been involved in the salsa scene over there and dancing a lot. And when I came back to this remote town in the middle of Australia, where people are just starved for new things and wanting to try, they sort of tapped me on the shoulder and they said, you need to start teaching. You need to share this stuff that you've been learning overseas. So yeah, I have been a salsa dance teacher since 2004. So yeah, 20 years this year.
Wow, that's amazing. And yes, and I've had the privilege of seeing a couple of your dance videos, and you are very, very good. It is, yeah, awesome. You know, for most people, salsa is not for just dipping your corn chips in. It actually is a dance style, and I highly recommend it. I'm a very poor self-taught salsa dancer, so I'm looking forward to getting over to Cairns and getting a lesson from the professional when we get over there, because it's always something I've always wanted to learn. I think it's just an amazing style of dance. So, but anyway, thank you so much for sharing your secret skill with us, and also all your other well-known skills and talents. Kirsty, thank you so much again. Video and media training will only become more and more important in organizations today, as with the evolving world of work, internally and externally. And, because of the ease of people to find out about organizations, media training, we didn't go too much into that, but I would highly encourage you get key people in your organization to be well trained in media, because every organization becomes more and more easily accessible in the spotlight. We need to be able to make sure that our people well trained when someone walks up to you and shoves a camera in their face, and you know how to react or respond to those things when they can or happen, or if something does happen in the world, like a lot of larger organizations have experienced. And media training could be the difference between success or failure in that very defining moment in an organization. So I would highly encourage people look at that. And Kirsty and Susie and their whole ecosystem at eMotion Video are phenomenal at what they do. So please check them out. It's the domain for eMotion Video. We've got KirstyNancarrow.com, but if they want to get hold of eMotion.
Yeah, it's www.emotionvideo.com.au, and you will find some resources on there. And you'll find we have a YouTube channel as well, Emotion Video Training and Production, where we've got some tips videos on there as well. So please go and visit those 2 places, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for being a guest on the Evolving World of Work podcast, Kirsty. It's been a pleasure having you here. And once again, good luck with the book Himalayan Dreams. Please make sure you reach out and grab that too. All right. And thanks again. And look forward to catching up with you again soon when I'm over in Cairns. It'll be exciting.
Let's dance then.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.